विद्यार्थी मित्रांनो, मागच्या तासिकेमध्ये मी तुम्हाला एच मुनरो लिखित द ओपन विंडो नावाची स्टोरी तुम्हाला मराठीत सांगितली होती. परंतु आपल्याला पेपर इंग्लिशमध्ये सोडवायचा आहे. स्टोरी आपल्याला इंग्लिशमध्ये समजली पाहिजे. म्हणून या पिरियडमध्ये मी तुम्हाला इंग्लिशमध्ये त्याची शॉर्ट समरी सांगतो आहे. ते तुम्ही थोडीशी काळजीपूर्वक लक्षात घ्या. In this story, the title of the story, as I told you already, The Open Window, and the name of the story writer is H. Munro. Here in this story, we have total 4 characters, we can say, and out of 4, there are 2 main characters. The main character is the Frampton Nuttel. Frampton Nuttel is the main character, and the second important character is Vera. Frampton Nuttel, we can say, is of 40 or 45 years old, and Vera is a 15 or 16 years old girl. Frampton Nuttel is somewhat a disturbed person, mentally disturbed, we can say. He had one sister, and she advised him to consult a psychologist, we can say. Psychologist or psychiatrist is a doctor who studies uh, mental, mental or brain. The doctor of brain, that is, we can say a psychiatrist or a psychologist. And that psychologist or psychiatrist advised Frampton Nuttel to go to the lonely places or calm or peaceful places like a hill station or or in a small village, so that he can have some mental peace. And this Frampton Nuttel visited to a place where his sister's friend lived, and his sister's friend name is Mrs. Sapleton. Mrs. Sapleton. As soon as he reached to Mrs. Sapleton, he found that Mrs. Sapleton was not at home, but there he met a girl of 15 or 16 years whose name was Vera. Vera welcomed him, and after hearing his story, Vera decides to make him more frightened. The speciality of Vera is that she is very expert in making an instant story, situational story, we can say. And on that occasion, she told the story of her aunt, that is Mrs. Sapleton, and Mrs. Sapleton's brother and her husband. Vera told Frampton Nuttel, that there is a strange history behind that open window. She added that Before 3 years ago, a strange incident happened in the life of Mrs. Sappleton. Mrs. Sappleton's husband and her two brothers had gone for hunting with their dogs in the jungle, or we can say in a forest, but all they three-person never returned, and not even the dog returned. But Mrs. Sappleton is still not ready to believe that her husband was dead, her brothers were dead. Still, she feels that one day they would all come back through this open window, for she feels that they had gone through this open window and would also come back only through this open window. By listening this strange story, the condition of Frampton Nuttall becomes more strange, as it was the time of evening. It was a foggy weather. The weather was full of mist. Vera pointed to the three figures who were coming towards the house. Frampton Nuttall could see that there were three persons, including Mrs. Sappleton's husband and brothers, and along with them was a dog. Whereas Vera had already told that those persons were dead, even the dog was dead, Frampton Nuttall felt that those figures were must be ghosts or apparitions. In order to save from those ghosts, assumed ghosts, we can say, he picked up his belongings and ran out of the house. Here, Mrs. Sappleton was preparing the tea for Frampton Nuttall, but when she came with a cup of tea, she found that Frampton Nuttall had already gone. At that time, Vera told Mrs. Sappleton that Frampton Nuttall had run away from here by seeing the dog, because he was such a person who used to frighten the dogs very much. And at that occasion, she again made an imaginary story in order to tell Mrs. Sappleton. Whereas this Frampton Nuttall frightened two dogs very much. Wonder what happened. This Frampton Nuttall was followed by the stray dogs, and in order to save himself, he had hid himself in a newly dug grave, and he had to spend the whole night in that dug grave. He was in the grave, and the dogs were barking above him. Thus, we can see that Vera was so much expert in making an instant story. In the beginning, she told a strange story to Frampton Nuttall. By listening to it, he ran away from that place. And another story she told to Mrs. Sapleton about the strange behavior about the dog of Frampton Nuttall. So, the students, you must have understood this story, and in the next period, I will supply the writing material on this story. Okay, if you have any difficulty, you can call me, you can send me messages in order to get more information about this story. Thank you.